The new Bold and the Beautiful preview for April 13 through 17 is teasing a week that could blow several lives apart. A family feud is about to erupt, a buried truth is getting dangerously close to the surface, and one explosive office showdown may trigger chaos nobody can stop. At first, these look like separate dramas. But this week may be building towards something much bigger. Because once secrets start cracking and tempers break loose, the damage never stays contained. Let's start with Brooke and Katie, because the weekly promo wastes no time showing us just how ugly this tension is becoming. Brooke asks Katie if she is really going through with this. Katie snaps back with a line that says a lot more than it seems on the surface: that the world does not always revolve around Brooke. That is not just irritation. That sounds like years of frustration coming to the surface in one blunt moment. And that is why this storyline may be stronger than a simple family disagreement over a fashion launch. The preview also shows models wearing the latest Logan designs, which strongly suggests Katie and Bill are moving ahead with the official debut of their first collection. If that happens, then Brooke may see it as a direct act of betrayal, especially if more of Eric's designs are part of what is being used. But what makes this clash more interesting is that both women may believe they are defending something bigger than themselves. Brooke may feel that Katie is letting personal resentment cloud business judgment. She may see Katie's choices as reckless, emotional, and deeply unfair. But Katie may view Brooke's anger very differently. She may believe Brooke is doing what Brooke has always done, stepping into the center of the situation and treating her own feelings as the final word. That contrast matters, because once sisters stop arguing over what happened and start arguing over who gets to define reality, the conflict becomes much harder to fix. This is what could keep viewers hooked all week. Not just the shouting, but the feeling that this fight is pulling open wounds that were never fully healed. And if Katie is truly done yielding to Brooke's emotional authority, then this may be the week their dynamic changes in a much more permanent way. If Brooke and Katie bring the family tension, Elektra and Ivy may bring the emotional mystery. The preview strongly hints that Elektra is no longer willing to stay confused, passive, or patient. She wants answers, and more importantly, she seems ready to demand them directly from Ivy. That alone raises the stakes. Because once a character like Elektra stops quietly suffering and starts asking sharp questions, the story shifts. It is no longer about what was done behind the scenes. It becomes about whether the truth can still be contained. Daphne's role here makes the situation even more intriguing. She tells Elektra that she deserves to know what really happened in her relationship with Will. That is a major line, because it suggests Daphne is standing at a crossroads. She knows enough to blow this whole thing apart, and that means her next move may affect everything. What makes Daphne fascinating in this setup is that she is not the person who caused the damage, but she may become the person who decides whether the damage stays hidden. In soap storytelling, those characters are often the most dangerous, because they hold truth like a match near gasoline. They do not have to do much. They just have to decide the timing. And then there is the question of Will. The spoilers suggest Will may unknowingly help crack this mystery open. If Elektra brings up the letter and Will looks confused or genuinely does not know what she means, that could become the clue that changes everything. A reaction like that could tell Elektra that the story she believed may have been manipulated from the start. That is why her confrontation with Ivy feels so important. When Elektra asks, "Ivy, where is my letter?" the line lands with more weight than a normal question. It feels like the moment suspicion becomes direct accusation. It feels like the moment Ivy may realize that control is slipping. And if Ivy has been orchestrating things behind the scenes, then this may be the beginning of the unraveling she never planned for. What makes Ivy's side of this story so compelling is that she may not see herself as the villain at all. That is often where soaps become most interesting. If Ivy believes she has been protecting Elektra's future, or steering her away from the wrong path, then she may have convinced herself that manipulation was justified. And once a character reaches that point, confession becomes much less likely. Because admitting the truth would not just mean admitting wrongdoing. It would mean admitting that the future she tried to control may now be even more unstable because of her actions. That may be why Elektra's pressure matters so much this week. She is not just asking for information. She is forcing Ivy to face the possibility that the lie can no longer hold. And once that starts happening, every scene around this mystery becomes more dangerous. Daphne knows too much. Elektra is asking better questions. Will May accidentally expose what does not add up? That is how secrets collapse on this show. Not always through one huge reveal, but through a series of small, undeniable cracks. While one story centers on hidden truth, another is heading straight into public chaos. Will and RJ are set to let their anger explode in the CEO office, and from the way this preview frames it, this is not going to be a brief verbal spat. This is a rivalry that has grown too personal, too emotional, and too humiliating for either one of them to manage calmly. The spoilers say RJ insults Will first. Will responds by shoving him. RJ shoves back, and just like that, the situation spirals into a full physical confrontation. What stands out here is not just the fight itself. It is what the fight reveals. Because when two young men take a conflict this far at work, it usually means the real issue is deeper than the current moment. This may be about pride as much as romance. It may be about insecurity, status, and the fear of being outmatched in front of other people. For RJ especially, this week could be critical. If he loses control too easily, that may change how others see him. Not just as someone emotional, but as someone unstable under pressure. And on a show like The Bold and the Beautiful, that kind of perception can have lasting effects. Will, meanwhile, may also be crossing a line. Even if he is provoked, responding physically could make this conflict much uglier than it needed to be. So the real suspense here may not simply be who wins the fight. It may be who ends up paying the bigger price for it afterward. Because once tempers go public in an office setting, the fallout rarely stays between the two people involved. Someone will judge it, someone will intervene, and someone may walk away looking far worse than expected. What ties all of these stories together is not just conflict. It is the loss of control. Brooke may be losing control of her influence over Katie. Ivy may be losing control of the version of events she tried to preserve. RJ and Will are clearly losing control of themselves. And that is why this week feels so promising. The strongest soap weeks are often the ones where everyone enters a scene thinking they can still manage the outcome, and then realizes too late that the emotional damage is already in motion. That may be exactly what April 13 through 17 is building toward. Not one giant twist, not one simple reveal, a chain reaction. And once that reaction starts, some of these relationships may not return to the version viewers are used to seeing. So as this week of The Bold and the Beautiful begins, the biggest question may not be who is right. It may be who is about to lose control first. Will Elektra finally force the truth into the open? Will Daphne decide it is time to blow Ivy's secret apart? Can Brooke and Katie come back from another bitter family collision? And has the rivalry between Will and RJ already crossed the point where words are no longer enough? Let me know what you think in the comments. Which storyline are you most excited for this week, and who do you believe is hiding the most dangerous truth? And if you want more Bold and the Beautiful spoilers, weekly breakdowns, and drama-filled analysis, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. Because this week, the anger is rising, the questions are sharper, and the next fallout may be even bigger than it looks.